From a world record amount of red cards, a match that could have started a war, and even fans celebrating and so hard it caused an earthquake.
These are the craziest moments in football history.
And then that's Titan broke out between two Newcastle players. They're fighting amongst themselves.
And at number 10 is that one time that Arsene Wenger almost caught some hands.
I'm ready to be crucified for that.
In 2015, Real Madrid's fan base started to really dislike Karim Benzema. Cristiano Ronaldo was outshining him, and he was basically a passenger in their super team. 2 years later, and the dislike had grown into shouts of #Benzema out. Many fans wanted him gone, and so Florentino Perez considered it. He put Benzema on the market, and Arsene Wenger made a move.
Maybe we'll have a good surprise for you.
The legendary French manager tabled 40 million euros for Benzema. Perez was livid. The guys at the office had to hold the old man back from looking for Wenger to throw some hands with him.
Said that Olivier Giroud is a great striker, so behind that we cannot buy Karim Benzema.
If you think 40 million for Benzema was disrespectful, then what Wenger did to Liverpool in number 9 was downright insulting. Wenger's the biggest penny pincher in football. It was for good reason though, because Arsenal would have gone bankrupt if he wasn't. But his penny pinching made him downright disrespectful. Tabling a 40 million bid for Benzema, a future Ballon d'Or and 5-time UFR Champions League winner, was not the craziest bid he took to the transfer market. Tabling 40 million for £1 for Luis Suarez was the craziest thing he did.
He has now! Oh, he's done it! Luis Suarez creates history!
When Suarez was tearing up the Premier League in 2012 and 13, Wenger wanted him. He approached Liverpool with £40 million. The Reds asked for more. Wenger went back, thought long and hard, and returned with a new bid. And a bid of £40 million and £1 was presented. A civil war almost broke out in England because of that bid. That wouldn't have compared to what could have happened at the 2006 FIFA World Cup. And that brings us to our number 8 moment, when Portugal almost went to war with England, which would definitely have sparked the Third World War. Portugal faced England in the 2006 World Cup quarterfinal, and Manchester United's brilliant youngsters Cristiano Ronaldo and Wayne Rooney faced each other. Both players left their club friendship at Old Trafford. The World Cup stage was a battleground of nations. Both took it literally, but Ronaldo came out tops. By playing dirty, of course. Ronaldo provoked Rooney into a tackle that would get him sent off.
Hold their breath. What colour's this card? He's off! Oh!
The cameras later picked up the young CR7 winking at his teammates. Mission accomplished. What followed was a media war between both nations that almost left the realm of football. Football players really do go to any lengths to win the World Cup. Just like player number 7 in our moments. Diego Maradona was already the best player in the world by the time the 1986 FIFA World Cup came around. Everybody expected him to lead Argentina to the trophy, and he delivered. But not without playing dirty. Argentina faced England in the quarterfinal of that World Cup and gave Maradona a tough time. The legendary attacking midfielder could not break past their defenses in the first half. Then, in the second half, he did the unthinkable. He raced into the box for a header. England's goalkeeper was already racing towards the ball with outstretched arms. Maradona was a very dubious decision-maker in a split second to use his hand to tip the ball over the goalkeeper. The referee was not in the best position to see what happened at the time and allowed the ball to stand. England's players and fans were livid. They became angrier and more aggressive, only for Maradona to score the goal of the century on their heads 4 minutes after his Hand of God goal. Both goals 4 minutes apart. One of the craziest moments in football history. Speaking of matches, the number 6 moment has the craziest match in football history. Getting 1 red card is stressful enough. Getting 2 is already a big headache. But getting 10? That's just absurd. Football in South America is known to be brutal. These guys go to war every time, whether it's for their clubs or their countries. The final of the 2022 Champions Cup in Argentina between Boca Juniors and Racing Club was just as heated. The referee dished out 3 red cards in normal time, and in extra time dished out another 7. The match was 50% football and 50% brawling. But you know the craziest thing? That's not even the most red cards shown in an official football match. Number 5 is the official world record for the most red cards shown in a single game. In 2011, during the Argentine 4th Division match between Atletico Claypole and Victoriano Arenas, the referee showed a whopping 36 red cards. Now, if you notice, basically this means everyone from both teams was shown a red card. The match devolved into a full melee brawl in the second half, and in disgust, the referee, Damian Rubino, gave everyone red cards and abandoned the match. Our next moment has an even crazier world record. Number 4 is the game that defied logic. On April 11, 2001, the small island nation of American Samoa wanted to get in on the FIFA World Cup action, and so they entered the Oceania qualifiers. When they faced Australia, they quickly learned that football can be brutal. The more experienced Australia destroyed them and all their hopes of ever playing in the World Cup in the present and future. How? They put 31 goals past American Samoa. You heard right. The match ended 31-0. Australia beat them silly, and little has been heard of American Samoa in football since then. And drop a like if you want to see a comeback for them, but talk about a shame. If only the guys in our next moment had a little of it. In number 3 is the craziest fight between 2 teammates ever. Now, teammates getting into it is normal. Sometimes plays don't work and tempers flare. Usually they'd calm down and get their heads together to get their opponents in the next play. But not Lee Bauer and Kieran Dyer. Both men played for Newcastle United in 2005, and they met Aston Villa in a Premier League game. Newcastle were really playing badly, and Villa were enjoying their football. By the 80th minute, Villa were up 3-0, and Newcastle was fuming. Bauer and Dyer were fuming particularly at each other. When they confronted each other, they started as a shouting match, and it became a full-on brawl. Both players threw and landed punches on each other so much that the whole pitch had to separate them. A moment of madness led to a very stupid thing happening. And speaking of moments of madness, Emmanuel Adebayor displayed the ultimate madness in our number 2 moment. Back in 2009, the legendary Togolese striker left Arsenal on bitter terms. He was fighting with the coaches, fans, and teammates, and eventually Arsene Wenger had to let him go. Manchester City had just gotten some money and were trying to build a super team then, so they signed him. He was a proven Premier League player and could score goals against all teams. But Adebayor was not happy at how he left Arsenal. He wanted revenge and he bided his time. On the 12th of September 2009, he got his chance. The match was tough. Incredible. Arsenal equalized in the 62nd minute and the fans celebrated loudly. Adebayor got angrier. In the 74th minute, Man City got a goal back to go ahead. 6 minutes later, Adebayor scored his revenge goal and Manchester City's third. What happened later was the ultimate moment of madness displayed by any player. You can see how his teammates had to get him out of the faces of the angry Arsenal fans who were almost jumping onto the pitch to beat the heck out of Adebayor. Imagine a stampede of fans so angry descending on Adebayor. Luckily for Mexico's national team, the stampeding fans were celebrating their win in our number 1 moment. 2018, a FIFA World Cup year. Germany was looking to defend the title they won in 2014. But it turned out that the football gods were not in their corner. Every play, every tactic, every action they took ended up backfiring. And then they had to face the Mexican team that was in the form of their lives. By the end of the match, Mexico had beaten the defending world champs. That happened in Russia. Back home, the whole country was awake and they celebrated madly. They celebrated so madly that they caused an earthquake. The Mexican Institute for Geological and Atmospherical Investigations were monitoring some seismic activity, and when the celebrations began, the activity spiked. The Mexicans were stomping the ground so hard that the earth under them shook. What a moment. Imagine if all these fans were in the stadium. The pitch would be completely leveled mid-match. Imagine how absurd the stadium would have looked. But an even more ridiculous thing to talk about is the biggest player in football history. You guys have got to see this 330-pound football actually play. Click on the video on the screen to see it.